slow up. No, I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Here it is, the latest update and the rear axle and brake video. So this is the updates on the basic trike and the old Packout trike. The last piece of the puzzle just got back into the shop. My son at Career Tech Center plasma cutted these for me. So those are going to the powder coater this weekend. So in this video, I want to cover the things that I wish that I would have been able to find online when I bought these kits. By far, the hardest part of this whole build is this rear brake setup. It's crazy enough, I'm just going to get right into it. Did a lot of research, tried to find videos. So what you guys have to realize is this right here is your brake bleeder. I've seen a lot of them online that this whole assembly is rotated back and the brake bleeder is at the bottom. Well, you're going to have air trapped in there. So this is the way it has to go, guys. So let me take a picture of it. All right, so we got the location of it, and what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to make some spacers. What I used was this 3/8 tie rod from a racing cart. This one was actually bent in a wreck, so I just used it. So with the bracket that you get in the kit, you are going to make two spacers. I went 2 1/8 of an inch. I didn't want to get the assembly too close to the frame, but I also didn't want it too long where it would, you know, want to twist under torque. So here's the situation. You need a really thick washer right there. You see that washer? You can't put the bracket right next to the caliper. And then of course I got a regular washer and a lock nut. So what I had to use is these are special, they're called furniture bolts that would focus. That'd be great. So the reason you need those is, check it out. So I've got 3 of them installed in the brake disc, but look at how close that comes with the normal hex bolt, head bolt, and hex head bolt. So if you didn't have that spacer right here, that would hit. So I just didn't want to have it that close. I mean, can you? Yeah, you could use those, but I'll put the link to these bolts, those furniture bolts, in the video description. So I just think they look clean too. So they're only like $8 or something like that for a bunch of them. So so that's how that goes. The next problem with this brake system, I brought the thinnest 1/8 brake rotor. Figured, you know, it would have less rub. Well, when you engage the brake and it goes back out, your disc brake pads fall right out. So had to go up to the 3/16. So I updated that in the overview video for that link at BMI. So these will just go on racing carts. Okay, so later on in the video, I'm actually going to go through the boring part of me actually assembling the whole rear end, because you want to mount this first and then slide your axle through into your hubs. It'll make sense in the video. But that was tricky. That took quite a bit of head scratching to figure out. So the next part of it is you're only going to be able to use these type of bearing carriers. I tried to save you guys money and use one of these, but these will not work because the way that it captures it, when you go to put it next to it, in theory, if you took and cut out these other tabs, because this is made for smaller axles, like if you wanted a 1-inch axle, but I've got tons of 1.25-inch axles, so that's what I use. So these won't be able to be used unless before you paint it or powder coat, you open them up. But these just look better anyways, and it's actually threaded so that the I think it's a 3.5-inch bolt I used Originally I had these shorter ones in, but I did not like how it didn't go all the way through, because when you're using the wheelie bar, that takes up thickness, so it pushes that out. So, so 2 of those are for the spacered ones, and then you're gonna have to build a spacer right here, guys. So I just cut a piece of that tie rod real thin. Oh, and for these, you're gonna have to drill out the inner diameter to 3/8 so that the bolt fits through it. These are 3/8, 3.5. Okay, so that is, I didn't cover that, but that is a M8125 thread, and it does not come with it. You're gonna get your brake system. Basically, it comes in a bag. No instructions, so you're gonna get this. And the first thing you're gonna do, guys, is you're gonna have to take it, it's locked in parking brake right here. And you're gonna have to take that off to get this spacer out of there. See that plastic spacer that holds the pads in place. So that's the first thing you're gonna do when you open it up out of the bag, is take that spacer out and use your M8125, 16 millimeters long. Again, I will put the description in, or the link in the description. Okay, and then these are the ones for the actual the brake hub. So those are 5/16, 18th, 1 inch long. But you know what the crazy thing is, guys? 1/2 inch lock nut, but it's a metric head. Have you ever seen that before? Standard thread with a, I think it's a 6 millimeter. You got it over here. And for sure, it's 5 millimeter. 5 millimeter Allen head. Crazy, huh? So, all right, the rest of it's pretty standard, guys. Your brake hub, your gear. I'm running a 66 tooth with a straight chain with a 12 tooth clutch. And then the big boy is gonna run the torque converter. So, I actually was gonna run a Hemi, but then I had the bright idea of having it electric start. So now it's, for the cost of shipping, $79 to ship it from Taiwan. I bought the whole kit. It's electric start kit. So that's gonna be the next video, guys. So Hemi, or sorry, non-Hemi motor. And I'm just gonna throw this on. It's a ported head, 26-pound springs, and a cam. I don't want to go too crazy because it still is a cast iron flywheel, so don't want that to grenade under my butt. So that is that, guys. So let's just go over all the parts. This is what you're going to be working with first: your bracket, spacer, all your little nuts and bolts, and then this is all the stuff that goes on afterwards. So I'm gonna put the camera on a tripod and basically assemble this guy right here. I think I'm gonna take this off so that you can better see it in the video. Yeah, so without further ado. All right, guys, so the very first step of installing is on your brake lever. If you look, there's this wedge stuffed in there. You're gonna have to pull that out. If it's really, really, really tight, just open the banjo bolt. We had to do that anyways, because what you're gonna wanna do is take this bolt out and flip it so that this is how it goes. And when you run it down, it's gonna hit on this. So we flipped it over so that that little bracket or little elbow type of thing was kicked out, as you can see here. See the difference? Up, down. So you take the one out of the lever, and then this one that's holding in the brake pads in place, that should come up pretty easily. So that's where we're gonna start. Taking some needle nose pliers. Oh yeah, it's falling right out. So that's what you're gonna need to get out, guys, that wedge. So now your brake is ready to be mounted. So you're going to take your bracket, and you see how it's made just to fit right in there like that. Now, I don't know if there's a difference between there and there. I think I'm going to mount it like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your bolt that I talked about earlier, lock washer, flat washer. Do the flat washer the round soft side towards your powder coat so that it doesn't tear it up, right? And then you are going to need your thick washer. Thick washer. Again, rounded edge towards powder coat. And this is where I might drop some stuff, so bear with me here. Okay, there's one started. Okay, so once you got those bolts started, you see how there's play in this? You're going to want this pulled away from it so that the rotor doesn't hit on this spring right here. So I'm going to pull that down and 5mm Allen. Now when you get those nice and tight, they literally don't stick out past it. So now we are ready to mate that to the bearing carrier. Bearing carrier, bearing, grooves, grooves. So we are going to have to mount this to the outside so that the threads receive it from the bolt. Now when you get these bearings, they're going to come with 2 set screws. Take those out and just pitch them. Never tighten those back into the axle because you're going to create a burr and then you're going to have a heck of a time sliding anything back and forth. Okay, so what we're going to do is your 3/8 bolt, soft side towards the powder coat. Okay, it goes in this bottom one right here. And this does have some play, so I like to get this pretty good so that it just barely pivots. Okay, then you're going to take your bolts, no washers, because if you had a washer it would stick out and hit your rotor. So mount that guy. Okay, number 2. Now, this is where if you guys jigged and welded your own chassis, you're going to realize this bearing bracket needs to be absolutely perpendicular to your axle, because if not, when we tighten this, your brake's going to be cockeyed and it's going to be rubbing. Pad fell out. So kind of look at that. Oh, and then as far as cable management routing, I went underneath the A-frame in the front and then right underneath the motor plate, and it's going to be nice and zip tied right there. Okay, so no big deal. Pad fell out. Notice your arc rotation or orientation there. Something always happens. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of good that that happened, because we are going to take and we are going to press that piston back in so that there's maximum gap. Okay, so now we're ready for the next parts. Axle. This is a 34 inch, 1.25 inch thin wall. it's thin wall, guys, so you need a different keyway. This isn't quarter by quarter like a standard cart axle. We want it a little bit lighter. It's literally 2 pounds lighter, a little bit more flex. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to start that. And then here is your brake assembly. Notice the rotation of the cooling fins. It's OCD, but I like to have it so that that's forward, okay? And I also like to have, because you can do this both ways, I like to have it so the Allen bolt has the most room to get to. So I'm gonna have that facing in the middle, and then for the sprocket, for the gear, I have it the opposite. I have it facing towards the middle, so it's just easier to get to, okay? All right, getting that guy in there. And don't worry about the keyway right now. Okay. So, got that there. The next thing you're gonna need is your sprocket carrier. This is all nice, fancy Joe's Racing. This is my son's old backup stuff that I just had laying around. But I will put links to the Amazon stuff in the video description. Okay, so next thing we're gonna have to get. So, as you guys can see, these are just old used ones. I had them, so why not use them? So this one is actually gonna have to mount to the inside. It doesn't have to be, but I like it so that I can just get to all the bolts. Let me shift this over a little bit. So I'll put this guy in there. Okay, I like to orient it so that it has the most spacing on the outside here. So, all right, so that's going to basically hold itself in place. So split collar can go on too. All right. So this is where, if you've got them both spaced out with the thick side of the bearing, you're going to center this axle up, right? So we have 9 1/4 and not quite 9. So we're going to back this up a little bit. 9 and 9 1/8. We're going to give it a 16th bump just because I like to be very centered. Very symmetric. Okay. So you're going to need 2 of these shaft collars because that's what's going to hold your axle in place from swaying side to side, right? So I get those guys on. And those take 3/16. Oh, tip. Get the nice aluminum ones. Do not cheap out and get these crappy, heavy steel ones. They're going to look like crap. They're going to rust. They're heavy. Rotating mass. Blah, blah, blah. Get the aluminum ones that I linked. Cheap bastards. Okay. Get that buttoned up. I say that because I work on a lot of racing carts and I hate it when stuff is all rusty. As you can see, these bearings that I'm putting in it are actually used because the good bearings I had to put in the number 9 car for the Fort Wayne race. Okay, so next up, keyway. Keyway comes in a long rod, usually 10 inches. So this is what I'm going to use because it's thin wall. A standard one is 1/4 by 1/4. This is 1/4 by 3/16. I just cut up with a cutoff tool and put it through the old bench grinder there, and just get them nice, and if that focuses, see, those are nice and tapered. So you're gonna line up your slot with the keyway in the axle and slide that guy through. And we're going to leave this guy float because we won't know where to put this until we've got the torque converter on and we're going to laser align that. So this one will just float. The next thing we do is take the zip ties, because this prevents your keyway from sliding out. So 2 of those, 1 on each side. And then you just slide them up next to it, and that prevents it from sliding out. We're going to do the same thing for the brake keyway. And then I also put 2 last ones on the outside here, because when you put your brake hub in, you don't want your keyway sliding out. So basically that and that. These Joes are so precision that they're really, really, really tight. So, yeah. So for some reason, this brake is super, super tight. All right, guys, so true story. Remember that little wedge that I told you to take out of the brake lever? Well, I didn't take it out of the actual one that I installed on this unit. So it was putting pressure on the brake pad. So I pulled that out, and it is brand new. I mean, it's a floater. They'll break in pretty quick, but so yeah. So that is pretty much, this is a floater. So the caliper is just gonna float, you know, wherever you put it. And so once you tighten the rotor, it's gonna probably free up. So it is 5 millimeter and a 1/2 inch. And if you guys did yours the same as me, you had just enough room to get a ratchet in there. So first step is to tighten the 1/4 inch or whatever size cinch bolt you have, and then tighten your actual brake rotor. And then when you go to move this, you're going to have to loosen these, all 4 of these, because these put force on the rotor, if that makes sense, and it kind of locks it in. All right. So all that's really left is putting your other hub on, putting your wheels on, putting your sprocket on. For this, we are going to run a 72 tube. And all that will be covered in the next video, the motor install video. All right, that's pretty much it. So for you guys that hate these, use flush cut cutoff pliers. Won't leave battle scars on your knuckles. You'll thank me later. So that's it, guys. I'm just going to wrap this up and maybe do some pictures for the thumbnail. But that is it, guys. RPC dirt trike. Actually, I think I'm going to call this Packout Trike. But yeah, can't wait to hear this thing fire up. Thanks for watching.